Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. John Oda, and thank you so much for joining me on the Doctor's Corner. So, what this is going to be called now, and if you guys are old school like myself, and if not, you young school, we'll figure out how I can explain this. We're going to do Ann Landers style. That's why I call it the Doctor's Corner. I used to have articles. I used to write articles from like 2000 to about, maybe 90, about 2000 to about 2007. I wrote for about 70 different places, and I wrote about parents and teens, right? So I decided, instead of me writing it again, I'm going to go over some questions of which they had, and then from there, I'm going to spew it out and give you some feedback. And I think that would probably be some of the best ways of doing things, right? And I think, and I think that would be pretty cool, right? Do you guys think so? And if not, just go along with me, right? So let me look at some of these ones that I have. I haven't seen them in such a long time. Oh my God. So here it goes. Okay, I found one. Oh my God. Okay, so it says, I am a 14-year-old and I want to have my nose pierced. My parents told me that I couldn't. I feel like it's my body and it shouldn't make a difference. They shouldn't tell me what to do. What should I do? Angry teen. Oh my God. Now, that's great. And first and foremost, being 14 years old, congratulations on that, and I hope your school grade's fine. But you got to understand there's one small thing, right? You live in your parents' house, right? So when I was a child, right, when I was 14, I wanted to get my ears pierced, right? And my mom told me, boy, men does not get their ears pierced. And of course, you just didn't do it. First and foremost, you got to first respect your parents. Second thing that you have to explore too is, right, okay, if you get your nose pierced, depends on where you go, what happened if your nose get infected? Now, your nose is infected, your parents told you no, it's going to be a fight around with your mom and dad and everything else, right? Now what's going to be next? What's going to take place? And I believe when you're going to just get your nose pierced without, when your parent says no, there's a couple things. First, it's a selfish act. Completely selfish. Second thing about it is you're showing that you're entitled. You don't care about what your parents said, and it is in their rules. And the third thing about it, remember the thing I mentioned about the clock, the 12, the 3, and the 6. If you still do it, you are the leader of the house, not the parents. So, because when I was a kid, when my parents told me no, it was a no. If not, oh my God, I was more scared of the police than I was of. I was scared of my parents than I was as police. You must be kidding me. So I would say no. But here's what I would say, right? When you get 18 years old, move out, be on your own. You can do what you want to do, right? But if that was me and my kid would do it without my consent, I wouldn't be a happy camper. That'd be on consequences forever. I don't think that they'd see daylight for years, right? Because that's disrespectful. The key is, here it goes, 14-year-old girl, the key is to respect your parents at all times. That's the key. If they say no, it's no. It's no big deal. You might get mad. You might go outside and cuss. Great, but don't do it around them because it's disrespectful, right? And I think the eras are a little bit different, right? I grew up in, the baby boomer time. I grew up in the 60s, right? I was a kid, I didn't grow up in the 60s. Don't get me wrong. I was a baby in the 60s and stuff. And when you have a parent, when you have a mom, who had 10 kids, stuff you just can't do at all. So I would say that don't be selfish and get it done. Wait until you move out the household and do what you got to get done, and then do what you need to do. I hope that helps you out. Okay, here is my next one. I'm a 15-year-old girl. Lately, my life hasn't been treating me the best. Despite the fact that my family is very well off and we live in a nice neighborhood. My problem is that I get very depressed on the drop of a dime. I'm not that popular in school. People have told me that I'm passive aggressive. I'm pretty much a loner. I sometimes get suicidal thoughts because I feel that people don't like me. I've dropped hints to my parents. I'm scared to death of telling them. I even dared to write something sad. They dismiss it as being morbid and refuse to read it. What should I do? Teen Angel. Wow. Okay, okay then. So there is a couple things right now. Right? First and foremost, you're going through a difficult time, and I'm saddened about that. It appears that you are very confused, but when you are confused, you're ready to learn something. So this is a scary time, but when you're confused, you're ready to learn something. So the first step I feel that you should make is figure out a way that you can talk to your parents, right? And if, so maybe you can hit to like the school counselor, explain to the school counselor what's going on, someone that you like in the school counseling, and figure out there. You can also hit for the American suicidal hotline, or there's crisis centers out there that you can actually go to. There is a hotline for the National Hope Hotline of Network of Suicide. That's 1-800-784-2433. So there's a lot of different things that I would do. So there's a couple things, right? First and foremost, you can hit to your pastor if you have a pastor or a priest to figure out actually what's going on, taking place. I would suggest probably there's a couple things. You can do an inpatient to figure out what's actually happening. Because what people got to understand, right, here it goes. Sometimes when you have suicidal thoughts and you're a loner and everything else, people, first and foremost, they always think it's mental health. And it probably is, right? But what I would tell everybody up front, since I've been doing this stuff for a while, do a hormone panel, right? Figure out if all your hormones are actually level, right? And one of the hormones to look for is called pregnenolone. If pregnenolone is low, you are going to have the suicidal thoughts anyway. Most psychiatrists don't want you to know this, but this is what I do for a living, right? So figure out what's actually is taking place, right? Try to find out online groups or online programs that you can go to that is very well trusted and have an evidence base to actually, move forward. In my career now, since I'm a seasoned veteran right now, I teach a science called neuro-linguistic programming, and I teach it for all of my parents and kids, right? Because that's the key, because it's a rapid way of actually going from A to B in a rapid rate and to actually create success inside your life. I've been practicing now for the last 30 some odd years. I'm a master trainer in that, so that's what I would actually tell them. But the biggest key is, and this is what I tell everybody, when you're going to counseling, it has to be with the parents as well. Because the parents is dismissing this. A parent should never dismiss when the kids say that she's suicidal or she's a loner or something taking place. You need, as a parent, you need to figure out there's something that should taking place, right? But when a parent does not do that, it's going to become a challenge, right? And the challenge is that first and foremost, it's the kids I love. Second thing about it, there's something about it that's not right. Let me figure out what's going on. A lot of times they go to the school counselor, which is fine, right? They go to a regular counselor, which is fine. But you need to pick a counselor that have at least, my opinion only, at least 20 years experience. And they know different modalities, and they have success working with people who have suicidal thoughts and passive aggressive and a loner, right? Because those things you can still come up. So you can still work with these people to make sure that they function as a human. And we don't. Once you don't do that, it's a complete mess up. Yeah, you can call up these hotlines and everything else, which I think is a beautiful thing to do. Don't get me wrong, especially if you're in that state. But also find if you have in your area that you have like a program that's going on, or sometimes going on online, that you can actually help it. And I think, and I know without a doubt, this is the reason why I have the passion to come back on the scene of doing this stuff. Because I see that there's nothing that's changed. Meaning that what happened 20 years ago, these kids are facing the exact same thing and even worse, right? Now they have the social media, now they have bullying, now they have so many different things that's going on. And I realize that if we don't put a stop to it, right? We don't figure out ways and strategies how to actually have our kids function as a human and make sure that they're getting the needs and the strategies that they actually would need, it's going to be a challenge. And that's why I committed myself this year to working with parents and teens again. But I just don't want to work with teens and that's it. It has to be parents too. That's a must. If you want your child to do well, they have to see that you're going to do the work as well. It's almost like working out, right? I can go to the gym and work out. I can tell my son, oh man, why don't you work out? But when I work out with him, everything changes now. Now the person thinks that he has skin in the game and he's committed to do what he wants to do. For your kids, for your teens, you have to do the exact same thing. If you can't do the exact same thing, remember and write this down. The speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. Right? And being a leader of the house, mom and dad, you have to show by examples. That's why you should work out and take them with you. I remember I went to the gym last year. This lady said, I said, where's your kids at? Well, they're sleeping. You don't bring them in? Well, no, I want them to sleep. I said, BS. I bring them to the gym. Well, they'll get mad. And when they said that, I said, well, they're not the leader of the house. They're the friend. The kids are the leader of the house. When I was a kid, my dad had this crazy garden. It was about a half-acre garden. And every morning he'd wake me up at 5 o'clock. John? Ben? Are you awake? No. He would say, get your colorful language up. I'm like, okay. I'd get up and would work that garden. Because back in Indiana, it was not hot outside, right? So you can work out the garden between 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. After 7 o'clock, you can go back and crash again, which I did all the time, right? But the biggest goal about it is that, my parents was a leader, not I. I couldn't pick and choose what I wanted to do, what I could do, what they said I did, right? So here is the biggest goal about it, right? Once a week, I'm going to read some of my old articles. It's really cool. This one is back in, 2003. Woo! 2003, and here's a sad thing about it. These same issues are going on and even more, right? So with the loner part of that, what she is, right, that tells me that she's needing to build her confidence and her self-esteem. And then when she started loving herself, the loner stuff is going to actually leave. And the passive-aggressive, we just needed to teach her what's the difference of passive-aggressive, aggressive, assertiveness, and everything else. And hopefully that she'll lean toward being more assertive than being passive-aggressive, right? So those are those small things that you can actually teach them because they need to learn this. And the concept is if people don't teach them this and learn them of how to actually do it, they will never know. But as a parent, right, a parent needs to be a navigator and see what's going on and then close the gaps with their kids. Because the worst thing that anything can happen is that when you have a kid who has suicidal thoughts and the kid actually do it, right? That is the worst thing that can ever actually take place. And I don't want that wish for anybody. So again, though, I will tell you guys when I have my programs and to be on my website, drjohnodo.com. I will come up with a program this summer because I really believe that these kids and as well as parents, you guys need to have tools. And the cool thing about myself is I've been training with Anthony Robbins and for the last 30 years, master trainer of NLP. Been in mental for 35 years. My style is completely different. I just focus on results. But in 90 days, you and your family will go through a metamorphosis. You'll go from a caterpillar to a butterfly. You'll look differently, you'll act differently, you'll speak differently, and you guys will actually accomplish your goals and dreams. I'm not saying that you won't have any problems. I'm not saying that. But my God, imagine if you guys could communicate effectively and better. So anyway, guys, I can talk forever. Hope you enjoyed this session. If so, please let me know. If you have any questions for me, please email me. You can email me at drjohnoda@gmail.com or john@drjohnoda.net. The Gmail one I always check out anyway. All right, guys, take care and always God bless. Bye for now.